If you're looking for an authentic cultural experience in Peru, I have just the right tour for you. The majority of travelers stick to Peru's main tourist sites, but if you're like me and want to travel deeper while making a positive impact, then you can't miss this homestay experience on Lake Titicaca. When you think of Lake Titicaca, you probably think of the famous floating islands. Today, I'm taking you off the beaten path to two remote islands that most tourists mistakenly overlook, Amantani and Taquile. We booked a 2-day cultural exchange homestay tour through a regenerative tourism company. This ensured that our money was going directly into the hands of the family and local island community. We stayed with a local host family on Amantani and spent 2 days diving into their traditions and daily life. In this video, I'm sharing our entire experience so that you can see exactly what it's like to do a homestay experience in Peru. And I promise by the end, you'll see exactly why you need to include this tour in your itinerary. So let's dive in. We headed towards Amantani after our visit of Uro's floating islands, and if you haven't yet seen my video on what it's like to visit Uro's, be sure to check that one out after you finish this one. The boat ride took us about 2.5 hours as it goes at a slow pace. There are comfy seats in the ferry, but if you're like us, then you'll spend the entire ride chatting with fellow travelers on the rooftop and soaking in the view. Once we arrived, we pulled up to the port where our host was waiting for us. We are now in Amantani Island on Lake Titicaca, about 2.5 hours, maybe 3 hours from Puno. It's a remote island, but it's one of the biggest. I think there's a couple thousand inhabitants here, and we're doing a homestay experience with a bunch of cultural activities. So far, we've had a really tasty lunch with our family, and we're headed down to go fishing with our one of our hosts. So yeah, we are at a really high altitude here. The lake itself is at 3,800 meters, and up where we are on Amantani is 4,000 meters. So as you can hear, I'm definitely out of breath as I am just walking around. It's not easy, but it is so worth it for all of these views around us. I mean, so nice and peaceful. All right, let's back up a moment. Once we landed, we took the 10-minute trek to our homestay, which felt more like 30 minutes while carrying our bags and going up the incline at altitude. It helped that we stopped along the way to catch our breath and learn about the construction of their houses, farming, and meet adorable furry friends. We settled into our room just before lunch. Here's a quick tour of the room. It was cute and simple, and it had a beautiful view from the terrace. One thing to note about homestays on Amantani, there's limited electricity and no Wi-Fi or running water. As long as you come prepared and knowing what to expect, you'll be just fine. We had a comforting lunch of classic quinoa soup, fried cheese, potato, and rice. And from there, we started our walk back down to the port, and our guide Americo taught us about the native plants and produce along the way. On the way down, we have all kinds of muña plant, which is sort of like the Andean mint tea, which we had just after lunch today, and we actually have every evening to digest. But look at these views. Is this edible?
Yeah, Kenya.
Kenya.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another one is coli.
Coli and eucalyptus.
This is a sweet potato.
Oh,
We call oca.
okay. And these are the pre-Incan terraces?
Yes.
Okay. Wow. From there, we embarked on our first cultural activity, learning local fishing techniques with our host, Oscar. So we're going out on our first adventure in Amantani. We are going with our host, a local fisherman, to try and catch some native fish in the area with a net that we're going to leave out all night and come back for early in the morning. We have our net is right there. So we'll see what we're able to catch.
Wish us luck. It's like untangling your headphones, you know? It's easier actually than untangling them.
Yeah, I would say so, yeah. Try untangling my jewelry. So they're leaving the net that started over there and are just slowly releasing it into the water to see what we can catch. Our guide told us that here is where you would get the smaller fish, the smaller, local native fish. If you want to get the really big ones like trout, you have to go further out into the lake. So today we're going for the little baits. I'm sure they're still just as tasty, huh? We just learned that we are fishing for ispi, which grow to be 4 or 5 centimeters, so they're baby fish, and they eat them in soups. They eat them fried. So our guide Oscar prefers them fried, and he said that actually for kids, having it as a soup is really good for their intelligence as they're growing up. So maybe we should have all eaten some ispi as kids. Oscar also taught us how to row the boat. And I gotta say, the technique is harder than it looks. I think I preferred being a passenger princess this time around. Just the way that the sun sparkles off the water is so romantic, you know? Once the net was fully released, now all that was left to do was wait to see our catch the next morning. So we headed back to the house and learned about how they produce and preserve local ingredients on Amantani. We are learning how to make quinoa flour here. So they take these quinoa seeds here. Puedo? También? So they take them here and they use this stone and grind it down, because here on Amantani there is no modern technology. So everything is done by hand. And the locals eat a lot of quinoa bread. Tomorrow we're gonna try quinoa pancakes as well. So definitely a lot of different ways to enjoy quinoa than what we're used to in the US or maybe even in Europe as well. And the bread, oh my gosh, was delicious. What do you think, babe?
We're going back in time.
Yes.
Like we used to do things before, you know?
I know, we should do more things like this. Before heading out on our sunset hike, our guide Americo shared a bit of information on the religious beliefs on the island to give context to the sacred site we were about to visit.
So we are in San Cayuni community.
Okay.
Yeah. So where is the main plaza is over here.
Huh.
At the main plaza, we can find a Catholic church.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you know, 90% we are Catholic.
Okay.
And you know, the Catholic believe in Andean religion as well.
Mm-hmm.
We call Pachatata, Pachamama, modern lake.
Yeah.
It's very important for in the Andean world.
And off we went on our hike to the top of Amantani. The higher we went, the more spectacular the views. So now, I'm sharing the stage with the local sheep. We can see Bolivia from here on Amantani. So basically all of those mountains over there, that's already Bolivia. It's crazy. Americo has brought us up the mountain, and along the way, we came across their massive stadium here with the best view. So what exactly do you do here?
Once a year, we have a championship between the communities.
So it's 10 communities, 10 different teams.
Yeah.
And you play every day.
10 different teams, you know.
Yeah.
We play with all together.
That's incredible.
9 a.m. in the morning till 4 p.m.
Start at 9 a.m. and finish 4 p.m.
Nice.
All day event.
All day.
Grind it out.
Now this is where things turn difficult, and I've really started to feel the altitude. We are walking up to the top of Amantani, up there. We are now at 4,050 meters, and you can definitely feel it with every step. Whew. I do feel like we're getting maybe a little bit more used to the altitude. Well, every time that I think I am, I'm actually a bit humbled. But as always, I mean, we do it for the views and the experience, am I right? I won't lie, there were moments I questioned if I'd collapse before making it to the top, but I garnered all my strength and willpower. I mean, come on, I was not about to miss sunset at the top of Amantani. We need to be fuerte. We can do it. Vamos así.
Focus on your breathing.
And at last, we made it. Our destination was the sacred site, the pre-Inca temple Pachatata, which means Father Earth. The local community holds an annual ritual there for agricultural fertility and protection for the coming year. Here, you have 360-degree views of the island, making it truly the most spectacular place to watch the sunset. We made it to the top, we survived, and the views here just before sunset. It is breathtaking, a little bit cold, but honestly, I'm amazed. I'm amazed by the lakes of this area. I've really never seen anything like these terraces. Even with all the clouds, we were rewarded with warm and fiery skies as the sun descended below the horizon. It was without a doubt one of the top 3 sunsets of our trip to Peru. When we got back to the house, we had one last cultural lesson before dinner. Oscar taught us about all of Amantani's local instruments and serenaded us with some of his favorite tunes.
Pinquillo.
Pinquillo.
Sí.
Esto es solo en
Es una
Amantani.
tradición, sí, en Amantani. Con este flauta se llama pinquillo. Con este vamos a hacer la fiesta en pago a la tierra.
Sí,
Pachamama.
en enero.
Sí,
En
con
enero,
este
sí.
Instrumento.
Ok.
Todos con este instrumento.
Ah, muy bien.
Tocan los carnavales. Toda la gente baila con este ritmo de instrumento.
Ah, bien.
Este se llama tarca, se llama tarca.
Tarca. Tarca, ok.
Vamos a tocar una música de esta comunidad.
Ah, muy bien.
Oscar then played this classic tune and passed it to us to try ourselves. Let's just say we did our best. No. After dinner, it was party time. All travelers were accompanied by their host to a party where a local band would play. We are now at the Fiesta. They have dressed us in traditional garb. You have your poncho, your alpaca. I have my shawl, my top, skirt, and we're ready.
And we're gonna dance.
We took on the dance floor and immediately made friends with fellow travelers and other hosts as we danced around in circles, holding hands and laughing with total strangers. It was goofy, fun, and definitely brought out a lot of laughs. I mean, how often can you say you ended up at a local party on a remote Peruvian island? Once the party winded down, we went straight to bed because we knew we had to be up at the crack of dawn to finish our fishing expedition. Up at 5:30 in the morning to come back down and see if we caught any fish in our net last night. So our nets should be all over here. You can actually tell, I learned yesterday from our guide that they know, so people on the island know not to put their nets down when they see someone's bottle. And every fisher has their own distinct color bottle that's recognizable to the community. So ours is way over there. So we're gonna go out and explore and see if we got lucky. And if we did get lucky and caught some local fish, then we're gonna be eating it, apparently. So cross your fingers for us. It was tough to wake up this morning, but it's a beautiful and serene morning and kind of excited to see when the nets pull up. You ready? We see if we got anything here. Wow! We got a karachi. Un karachi. Es nativo. Sí.
Vamos a sacarlo aquí,
Vamos a sacarlo.
Vamos a
Es lo que ayuda
La
a la inteligencia.
inteligencia, mucho fósforo tiene.
Fósforo. ¡Ah, otro dos! Toda la familia pueden comer. Tenemos 6.
Suerte.
¡Suerte!
Sí.
Tenemos karachi.
Yo estoy feliz, voy a comer pescado
¿Sí?
hoy día.
Muy bien.
Sí,
Ayudamos a que la familia
sí,
come.
sí, vamos hoy día.
We have caught 7 native fish, karachi. They're like about this big. And now we're looking and we're about to try and see if we've caught ispi, which are apparently smaller fish, maybe the smallest they have. So we'll see if we had luck there as well.
Suerte.
Suerte
Yeah,
tenemos
otro.
hoy día.
We found so many ispis in our net. This net has smaller holes, so that's why the smaller fish, are able to get caught in here, where the previous net we used was slightly bigger. So they're 2 different nets for different purposes. We have 2 more. Dos más. Dos más aquí. We are feeding his whole family, and maybe everyone else is staying at the homestay today. Ispi?
Crispy.
Crispy.
So the fish is still moving.
Poor babies, but they're going to nourish the entire family and more.
We took our bounty back to the house, and our hosts immediately got to preparing our breakfast of quinoa pancakes and soup made with our catch of the day. Okay, I have a confession to make. I'm actually very picky when it comes to fish, so I struggled eating them whole, especially the big one. But luckily, my husband is braver than I am, so he volunteered to eat mine. However, I really enjoyed the broth. After eating, it was time to say goodbye to our host family and continue on to our next adventure. The last stop on our tour was the island of Taquile, which is famous for its unique living cultural traditions and strong community structure.
We are now on the island of Taquile, which is about an hour boat ride from Amantani. You can see Amantani back there. And we are currently taking the 1 hour trek from where we were left off in the boat to the main square. So part of it was uphill and brutal, but now it's pretty flat. Easy, besides the elevation. And we're gonna go watch some traditional demonstration of dances, making shampoo, making textiles, and have some local lunch.
The long trek was made easier by the dramatic views on Taquile. I really enjoyed how our path weaved right through the steep terraces carved into the hillside. Taquile's main square is a simple open space that serves as the center of daily life. It's where members of the community gather, sell handmade textiles, and spend time together. We soaked up the views from a rooftop terrace while we waited for a traditional dance performance. Of course, the locals ended up pulling us into the performance, which was the most touristy thing we'd done on this tour. Nevertheless, it was cool to see their traditional dress, especially because we were about to learn the cultural meaning behind it during our lunch. During the demonstrations, we first learned how the locals use native plants for various purposes.
Here we go.
Make natural shampoo.
This plant, so chuku.
Yes.
Okay.
Probably the ancestors used this plant to make a natural shampoo.
Yeah. And that natural shampoo helps people to not bald, right?
Yes.
Men specifically. And it cleans sheep wool really well.
Wool, and they wash the clothes.
Yeah.
The hair as well.
Wow. And it's all made with this plant
Yes,
here,
yes.
this tree. That's incredible.
But what makes Taquile most unique is that knitting textiles is a man's work, determining his worth to the community and readiness for marriage, while women's work is weaving and tending to the sheep. Hand-knitted textiles have been an essential part of the island's social hierarchy for more than 500 years. In fact, the work of these knitting men has achieved worldwide recognition from UNESCO, who named them masterpieces of the oral and intangible heritage of humanity in 2006. But this isn't the only fascinating customs on Taquile that we learned about.
We learned a lot of interesting things about Taquile this afternoon. First being, this is an island that is really rooted in their own traditions and customs. It was declared a UNESCO heritage site, so it's protected. And it's really like taking a step back in time because the only way to get around the island is by foot. There are no scooters or, cars or anything like that. The locals, it's obligatory for them to wear traditional garb. So for example, the men at different stages of their life have different hats that will show if they're single, if they're married, if they have a girlfriend.
Little boy, little girl,
Yeah,
president wearing cap,
yes.
actual president hat. So on the island there are many hats, right?
Many hats. It's
So
the
easier
culture of
to-
hats.
Yeah. It's easier to recognize on the island who is single man, who is married man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What else do you have to add, babe?
They're so if you want to get married, you can. So the couple will move into the boy's parents' house, and they can leave. They can live there for up to 3 years and
Yeah, before
After
getting
3 years-
married, they live together.
live together, so they can try it out.
Yeah.
And after 3 years, they can get married. If they do get married, then it's official. There's no divorce. It's for life.
Except
Though
America says that that's not always true, right?
Yeah,
Things are
yeah,
changing.
yeah.
Things are changing. They're becoming a little bit more modern here. What we do like about their political system is that they do an election every 5 years, right? It was 5 years?
Yes.
Every 5 years for a president. And there's no re-election. There's no money.
no salary.
No salary.
salary.
No
That's
corruption. No corruption. So there's actually no crime on this island.
But they
Yeah.
still practicing the law.
Yes,
You know?
The Inca law.
Remember, the Inca law, there are three, right? Don't be lazy, don't steal, and don't lie.
Mm-hmm.
And also they practice aini. You know what does mean aini? Aini is a reciprocity.
Reciprocity.
Today for me and tomorrow for you.
Yes.
So maybe tomorrow for you and today for me.
Exactly. Yes. I also learned, correct me if I'm wrong, that the gift that the woman weaves before she's able to get married to a man is a belt. It looks like the Spanish caballeros because that's the type of attire that was brought by the Spaniards, right? The conquistadores. But there's a belt that goes around his waist that's actually woven with women's hair. Is it the wife's hair woven into it?
Yes.
Of course, it has to be hers.
Before get married,
Yeah.
usually the couples make, the belt.
Yes, yeah.
Especially the wife make the red part
Yeah.
and white part the man make.
Okay, yeah.
So they put inside the woman here.
For loyalty, right?
Yeah, yes,
So that's like a symbol of loyalty.
yes.
So these are all the little ceremonies that happen before a wedding, which is the big gift that the wife gets for
Yes.
getting married. And the wedding festivities go on for an entire week. So they're a really, really big deal here.
From there, we started making our way back down towards the boat. Luckily, we got picked up on the other side of the island, so we didn't have to take the hour trek. Instead, we made our way down an original Incan staircase.
Just
Going down this-
walking down. Yeah, going up is not.
Oh, so
These are the pre-Incan steps, have been on this island for hundreds and hundreds of years.
And that's a wrap for our cultural tour of Amantani and Taquile. I knew leaving these islands that this would be the kind of trip that would stay with us. I left feeling profoundly reflective on how disconnected we are as a society from the community-based values I observed here. I was inspired by their emphasis on caring for one another in every aspect of life and how they prioritize lifting each other up as a collective rather than competing to get to the top. As they say here, today for you, tomorrow for me. This is a motto that stays with me to this day. I hope I've convinced you that this homestay experience is worth putting on your Peru itinerary. I promise it will be one of the most memorable experiences from your trip, and it feels good to know that your money is uplifting these communities who are keeping their indigenous traditions alive. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe for more of the best bucket list travel ideas and itineraries. I'll see you in the next stop on our Peru itinerary, the breathtaking white city of Arequipa. Until then, happy travels, my friends.